The Galactic Council had gathered in emergency. The massive chamber was silent, except for the low hum of energy shields and distant star engines outside the station. Hundreds of alien delegates from every corner of the galaxy stared at the central holographic display. Their faces were pale, elongated, covered in scales or fur, some with too many eyes, some with none at all, but all shared the same expression: shock. The Council's chief historian, a tall, silver-skinned being named Veltrax, stepped forward. His 3 hands gestured at the floating star map. "According to all known records," he said, his voice trembling slightly, "humans were completely wiped out over 1,000 years ago. Every colony destroyed, every ship lost, every trace of their existence erased." A murmur ran through the chamber. Some delegates hissed. Others clenched their claws. And then the sensors blinked. A warning light flashed red across the central console. "What is that?" shouted Commander Xylar of the Terek fleet. Veltrax's tentacles hovered over the holographic controls. The readings were clear. There was a ship. An old, primitive design, but it moved through the galaxy without warning. The name appeared in bold letters as the sensors scanned it. Juris Defiance. A laugh echoed from the back of the chamber. Admiral Croth, a heavily armored reptilian warlord, leaned forward and sneered. "A ghost ship. Impossible. Humans do not exist. This is a relic, a forgotten myth. Sensors are broken." But the readings did not lie. The HRS Defiance was moving, fast and purposeful. It crossed through the galactic no-fire zone, an area sacred to peace treaties for centuries, without any communication or warning. Not one of the Council's countless fleets had ever dared to enter this zone uninvited. The room went silent. Whispers started. Veltrax's voice shook as he addressed the Council. "This ship, it should not exist. It is entirely human in design. Its propulsion system is unprecedented for anything we have seen. Its shield can withstand multiple fleet-level attacks. And it is alive in a sense. The ship maneuvers like it knows its enemy before it even attacks." The hologram showed the Defiance moving elegantly through asteroid fields, weaving between patrols and automated defense satellites. Lasers and missiles from distant fleets tried to intercept it, but all passed through harmlessly or were deflected. Admiral Croth slammed his clawed fist on the console. "This is impossible. Humans were primitive, weak, and unorganized. They fell to the first real alien empire that challenged them." Veltrax's eyes glimmered. Perhaps not all humans fell. Perhaps some survived in secret. The chamber erupted into debate, alien voices overlapping in panic and disbelief. Some suggested it was a trap. Others whispered about ancient human AI, something that had evolved beyond comprehension. Every theory seemed more impossible than the last. Outside the Council chambers, the HRS Defiance glided silently across the void. Its hull was battered, scars of ancient battles etched across metal panels, but it carried an aura of purpose and intelligence. No markings of war or conquest were visible. Its energy pulse was steady, almost calm. Inside the ship, the bridge was quiet. Several humans sat in cryosuspended pods, their minds linked to a vast AI system that controlled the ship with unmatched precision. The AI had learned from every encounter humans had ever faced, every strategy, every flaw, and it had adapted. Humans were extinct, only in the records. The ship remembered the species. The Defiance's sensors detected approaching alien patrols. The ship's AI processed the data in milliseconds. A small communication burst left the ship, a simple, clear message in the universal galactic code. "Do not challenge us. We do not seek war, but we will defend." The alien fleets intercepted the message, their signals filled with confusion. "The humans, they speak?" whispered Commander Xylar. The Defiance continued its course, silent and unstoppable. Its hull reflected the light of distant stars, as if it carried the memory of an entire species. Every movement was precise, calculated, but there was also an unexplainable human touch to its actions. A daring, bold spirit that no alien AI could replicate. Back in the Council chamber, Veltrax looked around at the fear-stricken delegates. He raised his voice over the chaos. "This ship does not ask permission. It moves as it chooses. It remembers war. It remembers humanity. And it will not be stopped." A tense silence followed. Every delegate froze, realizing the truth: the galaxy had been wrong. Humans were not extinct. Something had survived and it had come back to the stars. And in that moment, one question lingered in every mind, heavy and dangerous. If humans were gone, who is piloting the last human ship? The camera of imagination could almost see it. The HRS Defiance gliding through the void, carrying a secret that could shake the galaxy to its core, a secret that would soon prove that humanity was never gone, it had only been waiting. The news of the HRS Defiance spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Every planet, every space station, every fleet received the same horrifying message. A human ship, the last of its kind, was moving freely through the stars. For centuries, the galaxy had believed that humans were extinct. They had been erased from history, removed from maps, even removed from memory. And now, one ship proved that all those assumptions were wrong. In the Terrex system, Admiral Croth slammed his claws on the console. "This is impossible," he roared. "Humans are dead. Every record, every archive confirms it. Yet here they are, alive, moving, breathing, challenging us." Other fleets responded with similar disbelief. Some laughed at the idea. "It must be a decoy," said one insectoid commander, clicking his mandibles nervously. "Humans are extinct. There is nothing here." But the Defiance was real. And it was unstoppable. Sensors from patrol ships tracked the human vessel, noting its speed, agility, and unpredictable movements. Every attempt to engage it failed. Lasers bounced off invisible shields. Missiles detonated harmlessly in space, as if the ship had been designed to anticipate every attack. Even the most advanced fleets in the galaxy could not predict where it would appear next. Commander Xylar leaned over the console of the flagship. "They move like they know us," he said in disbelief. "It is as if the ship can see our strategies before we even plan them." In the council, delegates were shouting. Some wanted to destroy the ship immediately, fearing it might spark a human resurgence. Others suggested a blockade, trying to trap it in a corner of space. But Veltrax, the historian, raised his voice above the chaos. "Stop," he commanded. "We know very little about this ship. Its actions suggest intelligence far beyond our calculations. Humans may be extinct, but this vessel tells a different story. Perhaps humans have adapted. Perhaps they survived in ways we cannot imagine." The chamber fell silent. Aliens exchanged worried glances. To accept Veltrax's suggestion meant acknowledging a truth they had long refused. Humans had outlasted every empire, every war, every attempt at annihilation. And if one ship survived, could there be others? Meanwhile, the HRS Defiance continued its journey. Its AI-controlled systems operated with incredible precision. Humans, in cryogenic suspension, were linked to the AI, their minds contributing to the strategy and navigation. Every decision, every movement, every defensive maneuver came from a fusion of human intuition and machine efficiency. The first real encounter occurred in the Archon Belt. A patrol fleet of over 50 ships surrounded the Defiance, confident that they could easily destroy the lone human ship. The fleet commander, a massive creature with armored skin and jagged teeth, leaned forward and shouted, "Prepare to annihilate it. Humans are weak. This will be their end." The Defiance did not reply. It glided between the fleet, weaving through asteroid fields and laser fire with impossible speed. Missiles fired at it detonated harmlessly against the shields. One by one, the alien ships were forced to retreat or crash against the asteroids, unable to match the human ship's maneuvers. After the dust cleared, a small transmission emerged from the Defiance. The message was simple, clear, and terrifying in its calmness. "Your weapons are loud, but outdated." The alien fleets froze. The message was almost casual, yet it carried the weight of millennia of human survival. How could a species that was supposed to be extinct speak with such confidence? How could one ship, alone, defy entire fleets? Back in the council, the panic grew. Delegates argued violently. Some called for total extermination of any remaining humans, fearing that the species could rise again. Others advocated diplomacy, arguing that perhaps humans were no longer a threat. Veltrax's voice cut through the tension once again. "Consider this. If humans were wiped out 1,000 years ago, why does one ship move with such intelligence and purpose? The ship itself is a living record of human history. Perhaps it remembers every battle, every mistake, every strategy. Perhaps it exists to ensure that the galaxy does not forget humanity again." Outside the political debates, the Defiance moved silently. Its AI systems detected every fleet, every trap, every attempt at ambush. But the humans inside did not act out of anger or revenge. They acted out of survival. Every maneuver was calculated to avoid unnecessary destruction. Every pulse of energy directed only to disable attackers without killing them. The galaxy had always mocked humans for being emotional, weak, and primitive. But the Defiance showed otherwise. It was proof that humans were clever, adaptable, and dangerous, not in the way the galaxy expected, but in the way humans always had been: smart, patient, and unyielding. Admiral Croth's claw trembled on the console. They are not what we expected," he muttered. "This is something else entirely." And in that moment, one truth became clear across the galaxy. Humans were underestimated. They were not gone. They had survived in secret. And the last human ship, HRS Defiance, was only the beginning of a story the galaxy had long tried to forget. The question on everyone's mind echoed louder than any alarm or warning. If humans were truly extinct, how could one ship and perhaps many more still challenge us? The galaxy was about to learn the answer, and it would change everything. The alien fleets were growing impatient. Across the galaxy, word had spread of the HRS Defiance's unstoppable movement. Commanders who had once laughed at the idea of surviving humans now trembled at their audacity. The Terek Empire, the largest and most militarized power in the region, had gathered its finest fleet to intercept the ship. Over 500 warships, bristling with energy cannons and missiles, moved in formation to corner the Defiance. On board the flagship, Admiral Croth bared his jagged teeth in anger. "This ends today. Fire everything. Leave nothing. The humans will learn what extinction means." The alien fleet moved into attack formation. Energy beams cut through space, missiles streaked across the void, and automated targeting systems locked onto the Defiance. From the alien perspective, victory seemed guaranteed. One small, ancient ship could never withstand the might of hundreds of warships. But the HRS Defiance moved differently than any fleet expected. Its shields shimmered, an invisible barrier that bent light around the ship. Missiles that should have vaporized it simply disintegrated midair, turned to harmless energy sparks. Lasers passed harmlessly through the protective hull. The Defiance did not shake, it did not retreat, it simply moved as if it had anticipated every attack. Inside the ship, the humans were asleep, suspended in cryogenic pods. Their minds, however, were linked to the ship's AI. The AI had studied centuries of alien tactics, war strategies, and combat data. Every movement, every evasive maneuver, every counterattack was calculated with machine precision and human intuition combined. The first real attack began. A massive energy cannon from the flagship fired a concentrated beam directly at the Defiance. It hit the shield, and for a moment the alien commanders thought it would succeed. The beam struck with full force, but instead of destroying the ship, it scattered into a dazzling array of harmless energy. The ship moved slightly to the left as if shrugging off the blow. What is this?" shouted Commander Exwellar, his voice cracking with disbelief. "Our strongest weapon, and it does nothing?" The Defiance responded, not with aggression but with a single pulse of energy. It was small, almost insignificant to the alien eyes, barely a flicker across space. Yet the pulse struck the alien flagship and systems began to fail. Communications dropped. Shields faltered. Engines sputtered. The mighty warship, the pride of the Terek fleet, drifted powerless, helpless among the stars. Admiral Croth roared in fury. "Impossible. It is just a ship, it cannot do this." But the AI controlling the Defiance did not answer. It moved silently, calculating, waiting. Another pulse, another ship disabled. One by one the surrounding vessels lost power, drifting aimlessly. The alien fleet could not comprehend what they were witnessing. A single, solitary human ship disabling hundreds of warships with precision, not rage. In the council chambers, Veltrax watched the transmissions from the battle unfold. His tentacles trembled. This is no longer a legend," he whispered. "Humans are not extinct. They have adapted. They are beyond anything we imagined." Across the galaxy, the panic intensified. Some fleets tried to flee, abandoning their positions. Others hesitated, unsure if engaging the human ship would bring certain destruction. In every corner, the same thought spread: humans had been underestimated, and now the consequences were clear. Inside the HRS Defiance, the AI detected every movement of the alien ships. It analyzed weaknesses, predicted patterns, and calculated responses in milliseconds. The humans in cryosleep contributed instinctive strategies, learned over centuries of simulated combat. Together, they formed a network of intelligence that no alien fleet could match. The Defiance did not celebrate. It did not attack out of vengeance. Its goal was survival and demonstration. The ship moved in such a way that no unnecessary life was lost. Alien ships were disabled, not destroyed. Every maneuver was deliberate, every pulse precise. Humanity had learned something in its past wars. Power alone was meaningless without control, without wisdom. The alien commanders panicked. It thinks. This is not a simple ship, one cried. It adapts faster than our systems. Admiral Croft's claws shook as he activated another weapon, the most destructive in the galaxy. He had one final hope, one last chance to destroy the Defiance before it reached the inner systems. But before the cannon could fire, a small, almost imperceptible pulse from the human ship struck the targeting system. It was enough. The cannon misfired, causing massive damage to Croft's own fleet. The Defiance continued on its course, unharmed. Its AI registered the attacks, the evasions, the patterns of alien aggression, and updated its strategy seamlessly. Humanity, through technology and survival instinct, had become a force the galaxy could no longer ignore. As the battle ended, the alien fleets retreated, humiliated and confused. Not a single human life had been lost. The Defiance glided silently through the aftermath, leaving chaos behind. Its mission was not conquest, it was a reminder. A reminder that humans were not extinct. That they had survived. That the galaxy had misjudged them. Back in the council chamber, Veltrax faced the delegates. His voice was steady, though his expression was grim. This is only the beginning. The humans are more than what we thought. Their intelligence, adaptability, and strength, we have underestimated them for too long. And across the void of space, the HRS Defiance continued its journey, silent, unstoppable, carrying the memory and spirit of a species that would not be forgotten. The galaxy had faced its first real proof. Humans were not gone. They had returned, and their presence would soon change everything. The galaxy had never been quieter. Across countless systems, alien fleets repaired their damaged ships and debated in panic. What had they just witnessed? One ship, small, ancient, and supposedly extinct, had disabled hundreds of warships without breaking a sweat. And it had done so with no apparent malice, no desire for conquest, just calculated precision. In the Terek Empire's council hall, Admiral Croft slammed his claws onto the table. We have underestimated them, he growled. These humans, they are not primitive. Not weak. Not extinct. They are something else entirely. Veltrax the historian stepped forward. Admiral, it is time the galaxy knew the truth. The HRS Defiance is more than a ship. It is a living record of humanity itself. The humans we believed destroyed were never gone. They survived, hidden, evolving. The ship's AI is linked to the last living minds of humanity. They were preserved in cryogenic pods connected to this vessel. Their intelligence, strategy, and instincts live on through the ship. A murmur ran through the council. Some delegates gasped. Others hissed in disbelief. Some could not even comprehend the idea. Humanity, erased from history, surviving in secret, waiting for a moment like this. Outside the political chambers, the HRS Defiance glided silently through the void. Its hull reflected the distant starlight, battered and scarred by centuries-old battles, yet it moved with perfect elegance. Inside, the cryopods shimmered faintly, the humans suspended in deep sleep. Their minds were awake, though merged with the AI systems of the ship. Every decision, every course correction, every defensive maneuver was guided by a fusion of human intuition and machine precision. The AI had evolved over centuries. It remembered every strategy humans had ever used, every battle humans had fought, every mistake they had made. It could calculate outcomes in seconds that would take entire alien fleets hours to predict. Yet despite its intelligence, the AI was not cold. It was human. It preserved the species' most essential trait: ingenuity, adaptability, and restraint. A transmission suddenly emerged from the Defiance, broadcast to every fleet in the area. Its tone was calm, clear, and unthreatening. We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest. Humanity survived because we adapted. You destroyed much of our species, but we endured. This vessel carries the memory, the intelligence, and the will of humanity. We are not extinct. We never truly were. The message reverberated through the galaxy. Fleet commanders stared at their consoles in disbelief. Many refused to believe it. How could a species that was supposedly gone for 1,000 years now command such technology, such strategy, such power? In the council chamber, Veltrax explained further. The humans did not vanish. They learned. They adapted. Every human who survived was placed in cryogenic suspension, linked to an AI system capable of centuries-long operations. This ship is not just a vessel. It is a living archive of humanity, a sentinel that remembers what the galaxy tried to erase. Its purpose is not to conquer, but to survive and to warn. to remind the galaxy of the strength it once underestimated. Admiral Croft's jaw tightened. And what do they want now? Peace? Revenge? Control? Beltrax shook his head. They do not want revenge. They act only when necessary. Their intelligence is not fueled by emotion alone. It is guided by history, by experience, by survival instinct. The Defiance exists to show that humanity is not weak, that humans are clever, patient, and enduring. They remember the past, but they do not repeat it unless forced. Outside the Council's perception, the Defiance continued its silent patrol. It scanned systems, avoided conflict when possible, and disabled hostile forces only to neutralize danger, never to destroy. Its movements were deliberate, but there was something inherently human about them. Bold, daring, and unpredictable. The alien fleets began to realize the terrifying truth. Humans were no longer just a species. They were a force of intellect and adaptability, guided by a will the galaxy had never faced. The Defiance demonstrated that humans could survive even the most impossible odds, and in doing so, it had become a symbol of what the galaxy could no longer underestimate. Even the Terran commanders who had once scoffed at the ghost ship were forced to reconsider. This ship, it thinks faster than we can. It reacts before we act. Its technology, its strategy, it is unlike anything in the galaxy, one said quietly. The humans are not dead. They are evolved. Veltrax added, do not confuse evolution with aggression. Humanity's survival does not require conquest. Their strength lies in restraint, in intelligence, in foresight. The galaxy feared humans once, and that fear was based on ignorance. Now that ignorance has ended. For the first time, the Council understood a profound truth. Humans were underestimated not because they were weak, but because the galaxy never understood the full measure of their intelligence and adaptability. And as the HRS Defiance glided silently toward the uncharted regions of space, it carried more than just cryopods and AI systems. It carried a legacy, a warning, and a promise that humans may have been erased from records, but they had never been erased from existence. They had survived and they would not be forgotten. The galaxy was learning, painfully, that humanity's story was far from over. The question that haunted every fleet, every commander, every council member was the same. If one ship holds all this knowledge, all this power, what happens when humanity chooses to wake again? The message of the HRS Defiance echoed across the galaxy, reaching the furthest outposts, the most isolated colonies, and the largest fleets. For centuries, the galaxy had believed humans were extinct. Now, the terrifying reality was undeniable. One ship carried the last remnants of humanity, and it had already proven it was not to be underestimated. In the Terran Empire, panic spread like wildfire. Commanders argued violently, pointing fingers, and shouting over broken communication channels. We cannot ignore this, screamed Admiral Croft. This single ship has defeated our best fleets. Imagine if there are more hidden humans out there. Entire colonies could rise against us before we even see them. Other empires were equally alarmed. Some were desperate for alliances, reaching out to one another in secret meetings to discuss how to counter the Defiance. The KLNN Confederation, a species known for their technological prowess, proposed forming a coalition fleet to trap the ship. We must strike first, said their commander, a glowing, crystalline figure. We cannot allow humanity to grow stronger. One ship is dangerous enough. More could be catastrophic. At the same time, more cautious civilizations hesitated. The Zari Council, an ancient insectoid race, argued against aggression. The ship does not attack, one delegate noted. Its actions are defensive. Perhaps humans only want to survive. Violence may awaken something far worse. But fear, as always, proved stronger than reason. The galaxy braced for a conflict it did not understand. Fleets mobilized, patrols intensified, and spies were sent to track every movement of the Defiance. Every fleet commander was haunted by the knowledge that one human ship could disable hundreds of warships without losing a single human life. Meanwhile, the HRS Defiance continued its silent journey. It moved from system to system, scanning abandoned colonies, charting unclaimed space, and occasionally sending calm, clear transmissions to alien fleets and stations. Humanity survived because we adapted. We do not seek war. We act only when necessary. You destroyed much of our species, but we endured. Remember this. The transmissions struck terror into the hearts of those who heard them. They were not threats, not boasts, not demands, they were warnings. And the fact that the ship could send these messages while disabling advanced fleets without loss only amplified the fear. Alien spies who observed the ship reported on its unique behavior. It never attacked first. It moved with purpose. It disabled weapons and ships only when provoked. The Defiant seemed almost intelligent, calculating, human. In the Galactic Council, delegates debated feverishly. Some wanted total destruction of humanity, even if it meant hunting the species across the stars. Others, more rational, began to see the potential in negotiation. If we understand them, argued Veltrax the historian, we might avoid unnecessary war. Humans are clever, adaptable, and resilient. If we act rashly, we risk provoking their intelligence, something we cannot control. But fear overshadowed reason. Across the galaxy, fleets prepared for confrontation. Secret strikes were planned. Diplomatic envoys were sent only to be intercepted. Rumors spread of hidden human colonies, cryogenic pods, and even AI-controlled war machines. The galaxy had forgotten humanity, erased them from history, but now that ignorance would cost them dearly. On board the HRS Defiance, the humans remained in cryogenic suspension. Their minds, however, were active, linked to the AI. They observed, calculated, and prepared. Every threat, every fleet movement, every galactic plan was recorded, analyzed, and stored. Humanity had survived countless wars before. Now, even in small numbers, they were ready to face the galaxy's fear and curiosity. The ship's AI monitored every communication, every fleet mobilization, and every sign of panic. It predicted movements before they happened, calculated weaknesses before fleets could exploit them, and prepared responses that were precise, efficient, and humane. The Defiance's mission was not conquest nor revenge. It was a demonstration of survival, intelligence, and restraint. Every fleet commander felt it, the fear of underestimating humans. For centuries, the galaxy had dismissed humanity as primitive and weak. Now, one ship had proven that humans were anything but weak. Their intelligence, adaptability, and patience were unmatched. Even more terrifying, the galaxy realized it could not predict humanity's next move. In remote systems, colonists whispered to one another. Scientists and engineers debated in secret. Pilots trained for battles that might never happen. Across star systems, one question dominated every mind. If one ship can do this, what else have they been hiding? Even the bravest admirals admitted privately that humans were no longer a species to mock. Every military plan had to be reconsidered. Every strategy had to account for unpredictability, for cleverness, for intelligence that the galaxy had never faced before. And so, the galaxy braced itself. Fear spread faster than fleets could mobilize, faster than weapons could be fired. Every civilization began to feel it. The realization that humans were not extinct, that they had survived, and that one small ship could remind the galaxy of the truth. The HRS Defiance, silent and unstoppable, moved through the stars as if carrying the weight of an entire species. It did not seek fame or power. It did not seek revenge. Its only mission was survival, and to remind the galaxy that humanity had endured against impossible odds, and it would not be forgotten. As the stars shimmered around it, one undeniable truth spread throughout the galaxy. Humans had returned, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. The galaxy had reached a breaking point. Alien fleets, united by fear, formed a massive armada to stop the HRS Defiance. Over 1,000 warships, bristling with the most advanced weapons, moved in formation, determined to end the last human ship once and for all. Every fleet commander believed this would be a simple victory, a final eradication of a species they thought long extinct. On board the flagship of the United Fleet, Admiral Croth stared at the sensors. "This ends today," he said, his voice trembling with a mixture of anger and fear. "One ship cannot defy the galaxy. Fire everything. Leave no chance for survival. Humanity ends here." But the HRS Defiance was already prepared. Its AI scanned the approaching armada, predicting movements, calculating attack vectors, and preparing countermeasures. Humans in cryogenic suspension contributed instinctively, their minds merged with the AI, adding centuries of strategy, history, and cunning to every calculation. This was not merely a ship, it was the collective intelligence of a species reborn. As the fleets closed in, the Defiance's energy shields shimmered under the first volleys of laser fire. Hundreds of ships fired at once, expecting the human vessel to falter. But the pulses struck the shields and scattered harmlessly. Missiles detonated in empty space. Alien gunners stared in disbelief as their most powerful weapons failed. The Defiance responded with precision. Not with rage, not with blind force, but with carefully targeted energy pulses. A single pulse disabled the flagship of the KLNN Confederation, leaving it drifting, powerless among the stars. Another pulse struck the engines of a Terra cruiser, immobilizing it in the vacuum. One by one alien warships fell, not destroyed but neutralized. No life was lost unnecessarily. Humans were proving that intelligence and restraint could outweigh sheer numbers. Admiral Croth slammed his claws onto the console. Impossible. How can one ship do this? He shouted. It is only a single human ship. Veltrax, observing the battle from the Galactic Council, spoke quietly to other delegates. They are not acting out of aggression. The humans are demonstrating something the galaxy forgot: strategy, adaptability, and foresight. They do not waste energy or lives unnecessarily. This is the true strength of humanity. The alien fleets tried every tactic they knew. Flanking maneuvers, concentrated volleys, predictive AI algorithms. Nothing worked. Every attempt to corner the Defiance failed. The human ship anticipated every strike, countered every move, and maintained a calm, silent authority in space that no alien fleet could comprehend. Inside the Defiance, the AI integrated real-time data with the instincts of the humans. Every maneuver, every pulse, every countermeasure was precise. The ship moved like a single living organism, elegant and deadly. Yet it remained restrained, careful not to cause unnecessary casualties. Humanity had survived not by overwhelming force, but by intelligence and adaptation, and now it was proving the same in the stars. For the first time, alien commanders realized the terrifying truth: they were no longer fighting just a ship. They were fighting the embodiment of human ingenuity. The centuries of underestimation, the mocking, the belief that humans were primitive and weak, it was all wrong. The galaxy had miscalculated. The battle escalated further. Entire fleets tried to surround the Defiance, only to find themselves trapped in its predictive maneuvers. Ships collided, engines failed, weapons misfired. It was not chaos for the humans, it was chaos for the galaxy. The Defiance turned every attack into a lesson, every assault into a demonstration of what humans could do when underestimated. The turning point came when the AI calculated a coordinated counterstrike that disabled over half of the Armada's ships without a single human casualty. The alien fleets were forced to retreat in confusion and fear. Their combined might had been broken by a single, solitary human ship. Veltrax turned to the Council. This is unprecedented. The humans have survived the impossible. Their intelligence, their strategy, their restraint, they are not extinct. They are the galaxy's equal, if not superior, in ways we never expected. The battle ended, but the galaxy's fear did not. Alien fleets limped back to repair and regroup, while the Defiance continued its silent journey through the stars. It had demonstrated humanity's true strength, not through destruction but through intelligence, adaptability, and precision. Admiral Croth sat in stunned silence aboard his flagship. One ship, one human ship has done what entire fleets could not. They are unstoppable. Even the most skeptical civilizations now understood a profound truth: humans could survive against impossible odds, adapt faster than any other species, and outthink entire fleets. The galaxy had mocked them, tried to erase them from history, and underestimated them at every turn. Yet here they were, alive, intelligent, and in control. The HRS Defiance glided through the void, carrying more than just cryogenic humans and AI systems. It carried a legacy of survival, ingenuity, and patience. Humanity's story was no longer hidden in myths and erased histories. It was now a force that the galaxy could not ignore. The question that haunted every fleet, every commander, and every alien leader was clear. If one ship can defeat hundreds of our warships, what else can humanity do? The galaxy had been shown a truth it could not deny: humans were no longer a species to underestimate. The Defiance had changed history, not with brute force but with intelligence and restraint. And the galaxy would never forget it. The galaxy was in shock. Entire fleets had been humbled by a single human ship. Armadas that once ruled unchallenged space now limped back, their pride shattered, their tactics undone. Every commander and council member understood the truth that had been hiding for centuries: humans were not extinct. They were clever, adaptable, and unstoppable when underestimated. Admiral Croth, the Terek warlord, sat slumped aboard his flagship. One ship, one human ship has done what our combined fleets could not, he muttered. How do we fight a species like this? But the HRS Defiance was not preparing for more war. Its AI, merged with the last human's instincts and intelligence, had calculated every possible outcome. The humans inside cryogenic pods were calm, but awake within their minds. They had survived centuries of galactic war, they had endured erasure, they had seen civilizations rise and fall. And now the choice before them was clear. The AI transmitted a message across the galaxy. It was calm, precise, and shocking in its simplicity. You feared us. You underestimated us. We have demonstrated our intelligence, our adaptability, and our strength. But humanity does not seek revenge. We offer peace. We offer knowledge. We offer a chance to rebuild what was destroyed. The alien fleets froze. Fleet commanders whispered among themselves. The idea was almost impossible to comprehend. A species capable of defeating hundreds of warships with a single vessel was offering peace instead of vengeance. Veltrax, the historian, addressed the Galactic Council. The humans have survived not by conquering or destroying but by enduring. They understand the consequences of war because they have lived through its worst. Their strength is not in domination but in wisdom. They have the power to end civilizations, but they choose restraint. Some alien commanders, still bitter from defeat, argued against this. How can we trust them? They demanded. They could destroy us all if they wished. Veltrax shook his head. That is exactly the point. They could, but they chose not to. Humanity's true power is not measured in weapons or fleets. It is measured in choice, in morality, in the courage to survive without cruelty. Meanwhile, the HRS Defiance continued its silent journey through the galaxy, gliding past devastated fleets, abandoned colonies, and distant stars. Every ship it had disabled remained intact. No lives were lost unnecessarily. Its movements were precise, calculated, and deliberate. Every action told the galaxy one undeniable truth. Humans remembered the past, learned from it, and chose restraint over revenge. The alien races began to understand a lesson they had long ignored. Humans had survived centuries of attacks, wars, and attempted eradication. They had evolved not into conquerors but into strategists, thinkers, and protectors. The Defiance was the embodiment of all that humanity had endured, and all that it had learned. Admiral Croth finally spoke, his voice quiet, almost awed. We underestimated them. For centuries we thought humans were weak, primitive, gone. But they were waiting. And they have shown us what true intelligence, patience, and restraint look like. Across the galaxy, alien fleets lowered weapons and began communications. Some offered alliances. Some asked for treaties. The Defiance responded to each with a simple message. Humanity does not seek war. We offer knowledge, not conquest. We will help those willing to survive wisely. The galaxy, humbled and fearful, began to rethink its policies. Centuries of underestimation, arrogance, and erasure had brought them to this moment. One human ship, a vessel carrying the last remnants of a species thought extinct, had changed the balance of power not with destruction but with wisdom. For the first time, the galaxy realized a fundamental truth. Strength alone was not the measure of a species. Intelligence, adaptability, patience, and the moral courage to choose peace over vengeance, that was humanity's greatest weapon. The HRS Defiance continued its journey, heading toward uncharted regions of space. Inside, the last humans remained in cryogenic pods, their minds alert, aware, and ready. They had proven that humanity was never truly extinct. They had proven that survival required more than force. It required wisdom, foresight, and moral choice. And as the stars stretched endlessly before the Defiance, one final message echoed across the galaxy. You erased us once. We chose not to erase you back. Humanity remembers. Humanity survives. Humanity offers the future. The galaxy fell silent, humbled by the lesson. Humans were no longer a species to mock, to fear without understanding, or to underestimate. They had returned, not for revenge, not for conquest, but to remind the universe that true strength comes from intelligence, adaptability, and the courage to choose peace when one has the power to destroy. And so, humanity's story, once thought erased, began anew. The galaxy would remember the last human ship, HRS Defiance, not as a weapon, but as a testament to a species that had survived the impossible and chosen to rise above hatred, fear, and war. The galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had returned. And it had done so in a way that no one, no species, would ever forget.